Now I've come here, me and Abdullah, actually, we've come here to refute magic. Wait a minute, what did you say? Let me say that one more time. We've come here to refute magic. It's actually an interesting magic trick where there is no bunny. There's no hat. And in fact, there's no magician at all. It's the proposition that something can come from nothing. Not only from nothing, ladies and gentlemen, but from nothing and by nothing. The Quran says, أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ أَمْ خَلَقُوا السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ بَلْ لَا يُوقِنُونَ. Were they created from nothing? Or were they themselves the creators of themselves? Now we've heard Alex today, for the second time I've heard him say this, he says that the universe may have come into existence from nothing. Minute 14 to 15 in his video, Does the Universe Have a Cause? He says, when the universe came into existence, it well and truly came into existence from nothing. Now wait a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a challenge. That's an active claim. He said, I'm not here to make any active claims. Sorry, that is an active claim. Look at the syntax of that particular sentence. You're saying the universe came into existence from nothing. Don't pretend to be passive. Oh, I don't know. No, you do know. You're making a statement. Either you know what you're saying or you don't. Tell me how the universe came into existence from nothing and by nothing, ex nihilo. I want to know. Tell me how that's possible metaphysically, ontologically, cosmologically, from first principles. Give me the answer, please. But it's interesting because in his other video, Something from Nothing, where he was debating the contingency argument with a fellow American, or an American man, minute 48, he says this, listen to this. He agrees with the radio guy that was speaking to him that the universe is a necessary existence. Wait a minute. What's going on here, ladies and gentlemen? What does necessary existence mean? A necessary fact is a fact that cannot be any other way. 2 + 2 = 4. That's eternally going to be the case. So a necessary existence is eternal. It cannot be any other way. So wait a minute, if the universe is eternal, how could it come from nothing? Contradiction. It's a contradiction. You can't have it both ways, my friend. And this is what atheism leads you to. Contradictory set of propositions. Either you have your cake or you want to eat it. What are you going to do with it? Tell me now, did the universe come from nothing? If so, how so? That's an active claim. Is the universe a necessary existence? If so, how so? That is an active claim. Is it eternal? Just come on, please. Don't pretend to be innocent and agnostic. Number 2. You could say, no, there's a multiverse, or there's an eternal fabric, or there's an eternal universe. But a multiverse has the propensity of being any other way. And, I'm sure you study philosophy, you know what you're talking about. A possible existence, or a contingent existence, is defined by being able to be rearranged in any other way. If it can be arranged in another way, it's not necessary. It's possible or contingent. It's not necessary. So a multiverse cannot be necessary existence because it can be arranged in another way. It can be out of existence. So wait a minute. This is very important, guys. Hold on. You agree that there should and ought to be a necessary existence. If you agree with me on that, then you're not an atheist. Because the necessary existence is the Islamic definition of God. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. Say He is one and only. The self-sufficient, the independent. Meaning, the necessary existence. لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ. He begets not, nor is He begotten. Meaning He's eternal. If you say that there's a necessary existence, you cannot say you're an atheist. From an Islamic perspective. And from a philosophical one. Moreover, we have to ask a question now. We're talking about Islam. So, why is Islam any different from any other religion? Because Islam talks about one necessary existence, one independent, one self-sufficient. Not 3 in 1, 1 in 3. Not a triune God. Not a multiplicity of gods, a plethora of gods. Not a pantheism. And by the way, I have to make this clear now. it was a bit of a straw man argument because Alex came up and says that Abdullah said that the universe has a cause. He never said that in the statement. But he had these written things. We never use the word cause. You can have a necessary existence, you can make an ontological argument for a necessary existence without causation at all. There's a difference between possibility and contingency on the one hand, or necessity and causation. You don't even need to, you can have it. You don't believe in causation before the universe? Fallacy of composition? Have it, no problem. You have to explain how there can be a world with only possible existences. How can there be a world with only possible existences? If you say there can't be, and we're happy to say there's a necessary existence, you're no longer an atheist from an Islamic perspective. Because you believe in an independent, self-sufficient thing that everything depends upon. And that is the ultimate explanation for all of existence. Now, a secondary point we need to make is that Islam, the concept of God, the Tawheed, the monotheism, is something not only intuitive, but it's something, as we've seen, that can be reasoned from first principles, ladies and gentlemen. And that's why, already when we just look at the concept of God, so many of the major world religions are ruled out. Christianity is ruled out. Hinduism is ruled out. I would say Sikhism is ruled out. Why? Because of that pure monotheism, that respectable monotheism that Islam has to offer. But in addition to that, as Abdullah alluded to, the meta-narrative of there being many prophets aforetime, many of them with the same message of Islamic monotheism, believing in one God and worshipping one God, is something which can be seen in the religious books. What Abraham said, what Moses said, what did they come and say? Even according to Old Testament literature, calling the people to monotheism. So, Islam also has an inbuilt system of falsification. It works in a similar way to science in many ways. 4 challenges, which I'm happy to take questions on the questions and answer, or in the cross-examination. 1, if this book was from other than God, the Quran says about itself, there would have been many contradictions, chapter 4, verse 92. Number 2, the inimitability challenge. Try and produce something like it. And there is a quantifiable way of doing so, which we can talk about in the question and answers. Number 3, that Islam makes predictions about the future. And it specifies time and place. And this is my claim. It's the only religion to make a series of predictions about the future, none of which have not materialized. Whereas with anyone you want to mention who makes predictions of the future, at least some of their predictions will be falsified. And I'm willing to be tested on this. Test it. It's falsifiable. And in fact, this falsifiability is even stronger than the scientific one. Why? Because in scientific falsifiability, everything is susceptible to falsifiability. Everything that's done now, if I do a scientific experiment, now it can be falsified. But with a retrospective perspective, a hindsight perspective, if predictions have been made of the future, we can see whether those predictions are right or wrong. And we can talk about those predictions there's a book coming out called The Forbidden Prophecies by Aira. That's going to be something which details that case in detail. Now the interesting thing is you have a nihilist, someone who does not believe in existential, he's an existential nihilist who's cosmic skeptic. He's an existential nihilist, a moral nihilist. He is an epistemological nihilist. He doesn't even believe in morality. And he's making a moral case today. I mean, I don't know how this works. I really don't know. He says, I subjectively value my liberty. In one of his videos, The Moral Argument, 1 hour and 16 minutes. Tell me how, from first principles, liberty works. Is it not based and predicated on a fictitious, hypothetical, mythological state of nature detailed by John Locke and Thomas Hobbes and those individuals? Where's the scientific evidence for that? Why do you believe that? Why do you believe in equality? John Locke established his equality on the hedonistic principle and on a theory of God. Now you're an atheist, try and find from first principles why you believe in equality. We as Muslims don't believe in second wave feminism. Simple as that. Yeah, there's some things in Islam which are different for men than to women. Why do I have to justify myself to you? You have to justify why that equality of that Eurocentric understanding of equality of second wave feminism in the 60s that emerged is the objective morality. That's you, that's an active claim that you've made. You have to substantiate it. But listen to what he says in his video, My Problem with Sam Harris's Morality. Can I finish off?
Yeah, you got a minute now.
If you go to Somalia and tell those women, why do you put those women in bags? They will accuse you of cultural imperialism. So why are you asking the women if they've been put in bags? What kind of discussion is that? What kind of sanctimonious Orientalist understanding of morality is that? You have to first prove your morality. You're a subjective moralist. You don't believe in objective morality. Don't ask me about morality. You don't believe in it. Prove it. That's an active claim. And with that, guys, I want to say one last thing, which is that he made an egregious claim in one of his videos called The Liberal Hypocrisy on Islam. He said Islam is a racist religion. And I will tell you that Islam is the only religion, ancient religion in the world, which completely negates racism. Look at chapter 49, verse 13 of the Quran. Look at the Prophet. He said there's no virtue of a black man over a white man, an Arab or a non-Arab. Now, he's got three options. Option 1, to retract the statement. Option 2, yes, option 2, to provide the evidence. Or option 3, face public humiliation today.